Hello, and happy Valentine's Day. So, one of the most famous passages in the Bible is Mark chapter 12, verses 28 to 34. And this is the love thy neighbor as thyself bit. So, in this scene, Jesus is being cross-examined by one of the big shot lawmakers back in the day. You see, he's been challenging the Pharisees, who are kind of like the ruling powers, challenging their power and gathering steam as he's been going around town. And they're not too happy about it. So, one of them is all like, all right, new kid on the block, Jesus, if you're such a know-it-all, tell us this. Of all the commandments, which is the most important? So Jesus replies, and I paraphrase here, well, the most important of all of them is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is to love thy neighbor as yourself. Survey says, ding, 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 that is correct. That was the right answer. Well played, Jesus, says the lawmaker. You're right. Loving God and loving your neighbor are far more important than all the burnt offerings and sacrifices in this world. And so, of course, Jesus passes the test with flying colors, and he dons his cape and he takes off to fight crime in the city of Jerusalem as he does. Okay, I made that second part up. But you've probably heard the gist of this story before. Love yourself or love your neighbor as yourself. It's become what's become known as the golden rule. And some form of the golden rule, treat others as you would treat yourself, exists in virtually every religion in the world. And this includes Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, Wicca, Judaism, Taoism, all of them. And in fact, in 1993, 143 leaders of the world's major faiths endorsed it as part of a declaration towards a global ethic, right? Because imagine how good this world would be if we all just loved each other as we loved ourselves. Well, I'm going to say it might not be that good, because I used to be a dating coach, and I would see person after person who was like, I want to be loved. And I'd be like, how do you feel about yourself? And they'd be like, me? Pfft, I'm awesome. And then they would go out and do something that showed completely different inner story. So they might go out and maybe they'd let people use them, or they'd stay in a job that was way beneath them because they were too afraid to go for what they really wanted, or they let their family walk all over them, or they'd abuse their body by not exercising and eating trash. There's this old maxim, if you want to be loved, love yourself first. And the truth is, there's a whole lot of us out there who don't really love ourselves, at least not consistently. There's a lot of people out there who never learned to love themselves, right? There's a lot of people out there who might even think, and this might be you might think that loving yourself is a bad thing. But if you don't love yourself, if you don't accept yourself for who you are, warts and history and all the mistakes you've made and all, how are you ever going to do the same for your neighbor? So loving your neighbor starts with treating yourself as you would want others to treat you. And by this, I mean as the friggin' treasure, the golden ticket, the incredibly unique and complex and beautiful soul that you are. And if you're like, what you talking about, Willis? Golden ticket, treasure, unique, complex, and beautiful soul? That's not me. Well, you're not alone, because a lot of us don't love ourselves nearly as much as we need to. Instead, what we do is we look outside of ourselves for love. We don't realize that it's a universal quality that's available to us at any time. And instead, we try and grasp it eternally, and that's not externally, and that's not surprising, because the dominant myth of our culture is that things like good looks, riches, fame will get you love. And we all know this story. Get skinny enough, beautiful enough, make enough money, have enough followers, and you are set with all the love you could ever want. And yet, we see examples all the time where this isn't true. I mean, look at the late Whitney Houston. She was a beautiful woman, a former model. She was talented, she was rich, she was famous, and her life ended tragically in a cocaine overdose in a bathtub. So no, looks, money, fame, they are no guarantee that you will find love. And the irony we all know about Whitney is that her top grossing song of all time, The Greatest Love of All, was all about learning to love yourself. So why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to love yourself when it sometimes seems so easy to turn the other way and absolutely despise yourself, to focus on all your flaws and your weaknesses? Well, I don't know about kids today, but when I was growing up, we certainly didn't have classes on self-love. Nobody told us about this. In fact, it was often thought to be vain or egotistical, to be too into yourself. But true self-love isn't about puffing yourself up to look better in comparison to others. It's not about bragging. It's about seeing yourself as God sees you, as a reflection and an expression of the divine. As a soul having a human experience with all the drama and joy and sorrow and pain that entails. You are love. You were born love. Your mission on this planet is love. And if we have one task in this lifetime, it's to remember that, so that we can see others as the divine expression of love that they are. Now, do I have this mastered? Hell no, not at all. But I'm working on it. This sounds completely Stuart Smiley, and I would have totally laughed at myself for doing this at one time. But something that I do these days, and I do it every single day, is I look at myself in the mirror and I say, June, I love you. And I say this whether I feel like crap, whether my hair's a wreck, whether I have a pimple, whether I'm filled with self-doubt, whether someone just insulted me, whatever. I say, June, I love you. And I say it despite these things, because I know that God loves me unconditionally. And I also know that the stories that I tell myself about love being conditional are just that. They're stories. And stories are not permanent. Stories change. Have you ever had a piece of clothing that you felt meh about, and then 2 years later, it's your favorite thing, you can't stop wearing it? Or maybe you had, maybe there's a person that you felt meh about, and now they're your favorite person. Or a band. I've certainly had bands that I was like, what does anybody see in this? And 2 years later, I'm like, yeah, that band is awesome. Feelings change. They come, they go, they come back. But love is eternal. Love is a quality that's always there. It's always there, ready for you to access it. So how do you do this besides telling yourself every day that you love yourself? How do you do this if you're not so sure about this God thing, or if your own religious upbringing made you think that God's love was conditional, right? How do you do it? Well, you make a choice. So the other day, I watched this beautiful video put out by the Anasazi Foundation, and it basically said this. It said, the Creator gave all two-legged beings a sacred gift, the gift of choice. We can choose to walk forward towards the light or backward towards the darkness. And because we have a choice, there are consequences. So forward walking choices lead to consequences such as peace, knowledge, joy, comfort, and wisdom. Backward walking choices lead to consequences such as misery, despair, and darkness. So don't believe the whisperings that invite you to walk backwards. At any time in your life, you have the power to turn forwards. You can make a choice. And this goes for love as well. You can make a choice to take action that is in alignment with love, to take action that is in alignment with loving yourself, and to take action that is in alignment with putting yourself first, because, if your oxygen mask isn't on, you can't help your neighbor. And if you're not sure how to treat yourself with love, ask yourself this question. The next time you catch yourself about to put yourself down, or you are considering doing something that might not be in your best interest, ask yourself this: would you want this for your child? Would you want this for your child? Because you are a child of God, metaphorically, but it's up to you, because we have choice, to tap into your higher power, to tap into your greater self, to tap into your divinity, and to fully embody the magic and the beauty that you are. In Mark chapter 12, the Pharisee says, to love your neighbor as yourself is more important than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. But I'm going to say sacrifice is important. Not sacrifice in the sense of like sacrificing an animal or doing, burning something and giving it at the temple, but sacrificing old, outdated notions of who you are. Sacrificing this idea that love is conditional, and especially sacrificing your own ideas about not being lovable because of your body, your income, your background, your past, your family, or anything else. You, my friend, are lovable simply because you are you. You are a divine expression of love itself. So this Valentine's Day and every single day, tap into that. Get your self-love on. As Frankie Goes to Hollywood used to say on those t-shirts in the 1990s, choose love. And as Christina Aguilera used to say in the Uh-Ohs, you are beautiful no matter what they say. Words can bring you down. You are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can bring you down. Right, so don't bring yourself down today. Remember, you are loved. You are love. Start there, and the loving your neighbor bit, that will come. You got this. Namaste. And if you enjoyed this video today, if you'd like to see more of these sidewalk sermons, or if you're a new life coach or spiritual entrepreneur and you're looking for tips and tools to overcome self-doubt from a spiritual perspective, subscribe to this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Remember, your business is a prayer that the universe is breathing into you. You are called for a reason, and there are people out there who need you. You got this.